money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Big Easy Bets podcast. I'm your host, Logan. With me in the studio, Nick Von Brick.
What's up?
This is episode 270. This is our SEC conference breakdown. We have made it to the end of the road. One more episode to go, and then we're back in studio, and the games begin. Week 0 is 1 week away. 2 weeks, I guess, technically, but this is our final episode, and then the season begins. So it feels good. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. Hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Like I said, we're going to break down the SEC. We're going to go team by team, brush up on all the offseason moves, coaching changes, transfer portal, everything like that, and then we'll give you our favorite futures bet for the upcoming 2026 season. Couple things to get to before we get to the breakdown here. Right off the top, the most trending news, I guess, with the Saints is that Jordan Tyson, it happened. He hurt his hamstring. That was the concern with him going into the draft process, and he fell down a lot of people's draft boards. The talent's obviously there, but he's injury prone. Tore his knee, broke his collarbone, I think, and then has had numerous hamstring issues throughout the tail end of his collegiate career. We are 1 week into preseason. They were doing a joint practice with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I guess it got pushed going out of bounds, and his hamstring popped. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's your cause for concern?
10.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what the fuck? And it's funny because there's a lot of times where they say, like, oh, they're injury prone, and they're fine.
Yeah.
When they get to college. Bo Nix was super injury prone. Granted, he fucked his ankle up right on the doorstep of the playoffs or the conference championship. But this guy was injury prone with hamstring issues, and he's popped his hamstring. And they're like, oh, it's not related. It's not the same. What does that mean?
Yeah, they're trying to say it's not the same leg, I guess, but
But it is.
it is?
Well, he's pulled them both.
Okay.
I think it was a right one, and then the most recent was a left one.
Yeah, I think he
And then this
had
is
something in rookie camp or OTAs where he tweaked a hamstring.
Yeah, and I fall back on you can either play the sport or you can't. You can either play or you can't. And we've seen a lot of people with immense talent, unbelievable amounts of talent, and their bodies just don't hold up. They can't play it. It's a trending topic in New Orleans. Zion Williamson, you can either play the sport or you can't.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do? Like, oh, he keeps fucking popping his hamstring. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a big deal because it happened right away.
Yeah. It's like, oh, everything that we were worried about, it happened.
Yeah, and he was looking so good. It's like, yeah, the talent's not debatable. It's what's happening now is what was the question, and it's like it happened already. It's like he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. It's like how much do we even get out of him this year?
Yeah.
And really, how much do we even get out of him for his career?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
and
worry.
we just drafted him, top 10 pick.
It's unbelievable because everybody was raving about how good he is and how much he's flashed in camp and like day one. Like they're saying he is the most talented wide receiver in the draft, far and away. And the issues are the injury concerns. And yeah, it's the worry, and it happened before he never even touched the field in the preseason game. It happened before it. So I don't know. It sucks. It really does. It sucks bad. And it is a problem. Everybody like, oh, relax. It's 2 months. It's a problem. This was the problem that we all knew about. And it's like, surprise, it happened.
Yeah, we should have just took downs.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, it's like, but it is reassuring that you hear about and you see the video footage and all of that. And it's like, the dude is fucking good. So it's like, you can either play or you can't. And if he can, then great. It'll work out. If the 2 months is just a minor setback and then he closes out his rookie season on a high note and maybe they start working with him, although our track record with trainers is fucking horrific. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe it works out. So it's not like, oh, my God, we're dead. It's over. But it is a bad sign. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. last thing before we start the breakdown, Jaden Daniels. The dust has essentially settled from a very chaotic week for Jaden Daniels. LSU, this is business as usual. If we're not allegedly stealing money from a hospital or Brian Kelly sleeping with his realtor or whatever, there's always something going on with LSU's program in terms of like in the news for the wrong reasons, and no one fucking cares. So this is just to set the table. Everybody knows by now, but Jaden Daniels, I guess over a month ago, sent a letter to LSU, and then they just released it. And he doesn't want anybody using his name, image, and likeness at the school because we gave. Well, where are you at with it? Because I keep seeing details come out, and that the number 5 has nothing to do with it. That he had a contract with the school about his name, image, and likeness, and that just ran its course, and he wants a new one or something. And the story, I guess, is that he wanted nothing to do with the program in terms of his image. He wanted them to send the Heisman Trophy back. That's fucking ours. And the report that started circulating was that he had an issue with us issuing the number 5 to DJ Pickett. So what have you seen most recently? Like, is that what it is? Is it the number 5? Because that's what I saw, and that's definitely what spread like wildfire.
I mean, yeah, that's when everything came out. As far as what you're saying with this, some of it not doing with the number 5, but I haven't heard that.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, this whole thing to me was like, what the hell's going on? Because even when the first thing I saw was the Lane Kiffin press conference saying he's going to let DJ Pickett wear number 5, that it was promised to him in recruiting. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I wasn't even thinking about, like, Jaden Daniels at all.
See, I did when I saw it. But and this is just, I tweeted, I was like, Brian Kelly's at a Holiday Inn somewhere with his feet up, just maniacally laughing. Like, one more got him on my way out the door. Why the fuck are you promising the number to the kid and then not giving it to him because Jaden Daniels didn't give you the blessing? You should have got the confirmation before you promised it, but I get it. You wanted him. The whole thing's fucking ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. And I see people say, like, well, he won a Heisman Trophy. Burrow won a Heisman Trophy. Billy Cannon won a Heisman Trophy. That's why they're not wearing their jerseys and blah, blah, blah. And they're putting Jaden Daniels in the same breath as Joe Burrow. And I don't want to take away any of the accomplishments that Jaden Daniels had at LSU because there was many. That was one of the best collegiate seasons by a quarterback that we've ever seen. And here comes the kicker. It was on a team that didn't make the fucking college football playoff. Not because of him, because the defense was bad. But Joe Burrow had the best individual season that we've ever seen on the best college football team of all time. Most top 10 victories. Domination from start to finish. They're not the same. They're not going to be treated the same ever. I'm not taking anything away from Jaden Daniels. But this whole, I don't want anything to do with the school. Let's not pretend like Jaden Daniels didn't need LSU as well. It was a relationship there. We needed Jaden Daniels. He needed us. When he left Arizona State, they weren't sad to see him go. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there.
They were taking his shit out the locker and putting it in a trash bag.
Yeah. It was not a good relationship over there. And if you read the tea leaves, his mom's been rocking the boat for a long time now. This is nothing new. But my issue with it, it's been, 2 years, 3 years, and you're going to cast LSU to the side? That whole season quickly turned into, okay, our defense is dog shit. We're not going to do anything. We're going to go win Jaden Daniels a Heisman. We're going to help him go win the Heisman. Was it New Mexico State or somebody? Some dumb bullshit school that he shouldn't have even been in the game. He played like all 4 quarters and put up Heisman Trophy numbers against scrubs. So LSU helped you get that Heisman Trophy. You don't get that Heisman Trophy if you don't come to LSU.
No, if you don't play with Malik Neighbors and
Brian
Thomas, it's like.
Yeah. So the whole thing, we're running longer on this than we should have, I guess. But then Jaden Daniels puts out on his Instagram that, oh, I hope my team and LSU can get it together. So that leads me to believe, like, okay, he's saying I've been locked in at camp. He's basically exonerating himself of all guilt and saying it's them. So it's like, if that's the case, okay, well then guess what? Get your fucking team in order, because they have tarnished your reputation in Baton Rouge. Because watch how quickly everyone goes, goodbye. Take the 5, Pickett. First interception. Everyone's going to lose their fucking minds. It's one of those things where, like, it was such a dumb decision on their end, whether it was him or his team or whoever. It was such a stupid, petty decision that the ramifications are going to be, guess what? We got to figure out if your NFL career is going to pan out, pal, because last year sucked. Injuries, as well as just not as high level of play. So this is a very big year. This is a distraction that you did not need on your plate. But you won a fucking Heisman Trophy at LSU in Baton Rouge. So if your career doesn't pan out, you know what you could have done? A prerequisite would have been you get a car dealership in the city of Baton Rouge. Come on down, put your name on it. It's yours. We'll give it to you because you won the Heisman Trophy. And LSU football is king down here. But you just tarnished that reputation, that relationship. It's gone.
Yeah, I never liked him.
Jaden Daniels?
I'll be honest. I never liked him.
We bet on him to win the Heisman.
Yeah, that was different, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I liked him.
Yeah.
I never liked him. I was Nussmeier all the way.
Yeah, you were.
And the biggest reason was because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was strange that when he left Arizona State, that his teammates didn't like him.
Yeah.
So he's always been this, apparently he's always been this type of personality that's like a prima donna or.
Yeah. No, and that, I get it. To be great, you got to be a little different than everybody else. That's just the way it goes. So, yeah, I don't know what's right or wrong, what information that came out is correct, or if Jaden Daniels had everything to do with this or nothing to do with this. But all I know is that it was a crazy move by him or his team, whoever it was. And you sever a relationship with a team, with a fan base that's extremely passionate. Do you think it's irreparable?
No. Like, I think, you know, maybe even down the road or this season or towards the end of the season, they tried. I think LSU reaches out and tries to make amends somehow.
I don't know. I'm looking at the social media team. All they keep posting about is DJ Pickett in the 5. They posted him today. They said he just keeps making plays.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, I'm not even opposed to someone, like, if a 5-star recruit wanted to have 9, it's like, if that's part of getting them.
9's Marcel Brooks' number in my eyes.
Yeah.
I loved Marcel Brooks. No, yeah, if that's the deciding factor, if that's
like
what
if
it
the
takes.
number 1 quarterback wanted to play for LSU, but his favorite number was 9.
Yeah. I would imagine Joe Burrow would say take it.
Yeah.
But I'm also fine with them retiring that number. So.
Yeah.
But they unretire numbers all the time. It means nothing.
No, it's
retired
football,
until somebody wants it.
Too many players.
It's like you said. They fucking gave Tim Tebow's number to Graham Mertz.
Or it's like the Yankees, you know, like they have so many damn numbers retired. Everybody's wearing these stupid numbers.
Yeah, nobody can fucking yeah. And with college football, you have so much turnover and
there's 100 players on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't have been an issue. It should have been literally it shouldn't have been an issue at all, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. All right. We'll get to our SEC conference breakdown. Like I said, we're going to go team by team, brush up on all the offseason moves, give you our best futures bet going forward. We will start it off with the Georgia Bulldogs, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on the win totals and all of that. I see over-under wins 9.5, heavily shaded to the over, plus 260 to win the SEC. Is that what you have?
Yeah, when I checked 9.5 and 10.5
juice to the
were
over.
the same odds but flipped.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you said it's over 9.5's minus 160?
I see minus 190, but it might have came down.
Yeah, it's minus 190. Under is minus 160.
Okay.
I mean, plus 160.
Yeah.
So for 10.5, over 10.5 is plus 160. under 10.5 is minus 190. So it's basically right at 10.
Yeah. All right, so last season was 11-1. Obviously, Kirby Smart returns as the head man. Another dominant season from the Bulldogs that ended in brutal fashion after Ole Miss scored 20 fourth-quarter points to beat them in the Sugar Bowl. There were a ton of questions around Gunnar Stockton coming into last season. He, in my opinion, proved he's a good enough player to get you where you want to go. He completed nearly 70% of his passes, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Short and sweet, this Georgia program's in a terrific spot. They return 8 starters on defense. They do lose leading tackler C.J. Allen, but should have no issue replacing him. Oddly enough, this Georgia team didn't force that many turnovers, and nobody on the team had 5 or more sacks. They were very young. Now you have a lot of guys with a lot of experience. It was still a very good defense. It was just they couldn't force a ton of turnovers, and they didn't have anybody really dominant at getting after the passer. I think we see those numbers move in the right direction this year. Offensively, Stockton and Nate Frazier return. Lawson Lucky is going to be that next good white tight end for you. The revolving door, the Brock Bowers, the Oscar Delp. Now Lawson Lucky's the next in line. You also return 3 starters on the offensive line. In my opinion, this Georgia team's the most complete team in the SEC. I think they're the favorite for a reason. Do you think that Gunnar Stockton, do you agree that Gunnar Stockton's good enough to win a national championship?
Yeah, I do.
I still have question marks with the arm, and maybe they're not. Maybe I shouldn't. The legs, can't deny it. Dude's tough as shit. He can run the ball. Completion percentage was great. Touchdown interception ratio was great. So you look at the schedule. They open the season with Tennessee State. Then they play Western Kentucky on the road at Arkansas. Then you got Oklahoma, Vanderbilt both at home, at Bama, Auburn, Florida on a neutral, at Ole Miss, Missouri, at South Carolina, and then Georgia Tech in the rivalry game to close out the season. I don't have any action on them in terms of a future, but they're favored for a reason. I agree with it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's like Gunnar Stockton, that was the question last year. That was the big question for Georgia going into last year was Beck transferred out. Gunnar Stockton was going to be named the starter, and we got to see him against Texas in 2024 in the SEC championship game, and it was kind of hit and miss, you know?
Yeah.
And then last year he came in, 24 touchdowns, passing 10 touchdowns, running. The running back room's great. Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens return, but then they signed Kentucky transfer Dante Dottle. All 3 of these running backs averaged over 5 yards per carry in the SEC last year. The wide receiver room, like you mentioned, Zachariah Branch, Colby Young, and Dylan Bell are all gone. You mentioned they do a good job recruiting tight ends here. They also got transfer from Georgia Tech, Isaiah Canyon. But it's like with this type of rushing attack that they're going to be able to put together, it just makes it a whole lot easier for Gunnar Stockton. And he's just that type of player. Like,
he's a good college player. He's the perfect.
He's that college football player. He's like, yeah, it's like you look up in the dictionary college football player and his picture's there. It's like,
yeah, he's one of the he's not an NFL guy.
No.
And maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to sell him short on his lifelong dream, but probably not an NFL guy, but gonna be one of those Stetson Bennett types winners in college football. Although Stetson Bennett on the Rams. Do you have any action on him?
No, I think
you considering
the schedule's somewhat manageable. They avoid Texas this year. At Alabama and at Ole Miss are the toughest games. It's like you just look at the win totals and for the whole SEC, it's just like, you know, Georgia's up there, but it's like everyone else is like, you know, if you don't get to 10 games, if you're 9-3,
yeah,
it's like how likely is it that how many of these teams can make the playoff?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, and that's going to be the big question throughout the season, because I understand the Big Ten has kind of started to reign supreme, won the last 3 national championships. The SEC is still the best conference top to bottom, in my opinion. I don't think it's debatable. I think you got a team like Tennessee, who's middle of the pack in the SEC. They'd run roughshod against all but 2, maybe 3 teams in that Big Ten conference. Next up, Texas. Steve Sarkisian returns as head coach. Last year was a 9-3 year. Over-under wins, looks like 9.5, shaded to the under, minus 145-ish. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. Plus 290 to win the SEC. So behind Georgia, but not by much. Texas had all the hype last year with Arch Manning finally getting his chance to start. He did not live up to the expectations. But things definitely started to click there in the second half. At Mississippi State specifically, they were down big, down by 3 scores. They came back and won the game. And then he finished the year with 3,163 yards, a 61% completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and also 10 rushing touchdowns. Kind of feasted on the lesser competition. Those were the viral clips going around of him kind of muscling over, I don't know if it was Sam Houston State or somebody not good, but it was a tough look. The problem with Arch Manning is that the expectations were so sky high, it was near impossible to live up to them. But it is safe to say that he came in well underneath him. Well underneath. He's not as good as advertised. At least he wasn't ready at that point in time. As far as Sarkisian and the Longhorns, I think it's now or never. I am very high on this team. They've gone all in. There's no debating it. They have clearly gone all in the transfer portal era. They've backed up the Brinks truck for a number of players. Arch Manning is obviously back. They went and got an ultra-talented wide receiver in Cam Coleman. You're seeing the clips of Cam Coleman go viral with his one-handed catches, and we're ignoring the fact that the balls being thrown to him are fucking terrible. They're ducks, and he's making amazing catches. So they're not showing who's throwing that ball. If you're back in Texas, you're hoping that's not Arch Manning. They also went out and got running back Hollywood Smothers from NC State. Very good player. I like Hollywood Smothers a lot. They let Wisner go because they got Smothers. Wisner never lived up to what they thought he was going to be, but not a bad back. So they're high on Hollywood Smothers. They returned 3 starters on the offensive line, plus 2 transfers coming in to start. Defensively, you lose linebacker Anthony Hill Jr., but you went in the portal to fill a spot with Rasheem Biles from Pitt. 100-plus tackles and 17 tackles for loss last year. He's one of the best, if not the best, linebackers in the country. I think he was the number 1 linebacker in the portal. Could be wrong on that, but he's definitely at the top of the list, if not at the very top. Colin Simmons is back. He had 12 sacks last year. He returns with extremely sky-high expectations. This Texas team, if Arch Manning takes that next step forward, they can, and they very possibly will win a national championship. 1 true road game in the first 2 months of the schedule. Texas State, Ohio State at home. You get the reverse from last year. UTSA. Then you go on the road to Tennessee. Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout on a neutral, obviously, at the Cotton Bowl. Florida at home. Ole Miss and Mississippi State both at home. You go on the road 3 out of the last 4. At Missouri, at LSU, Arkansas at home, at Texas A&M. What are your thoughts on the Longhorns heading into the season? And are you a believer in Arch? Does he take the step in the right direction?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in this guy.
Are you?
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like, so Texas 9-3 last year. The losses early against Ohio State, then they lost to Georgia, understandable. Kind of a head-scratching loss to Florida. It's like, if you go back to last year, we were expecting Arch to struggle.
Yeah.
We're from Louisiana. We know about the competition that Newman plays, and just all around the types of players that they have. They have good players every now and then, but it's like 1A football is just not top tier in Louisiana. But then you look at the stats from last season, it's like we talk about him not meeting up to the hype, but 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, nearly 400 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. It's like you look at this stat line compared to Gunnar Stockton, it's like it's virtually the same.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it. You just look at the talent on this team. They really did a good job this go around in the transfer portal, surrounding them with talent. Hollywood Smothers, nearly 1,000-yard back at NC State. He also added 37 receptions. Raleek Brown, another transfer running back from Arizona State, 1,100 rushing yards. He had 34 receptions. You pair that with Cam Coleman, who is the second best wide receiver in college football behind Jeremiah Smith. He's the only one that's even close.
Yeah.
Who's been playing wide receiver without a quarterback at Auburn the past couple years.
Still putting up numbers.
It's like you can expect these running backs to get involved in the passing game and make things easier for Arch Manning. Defensively, they hired Will Muschamp as the defensive coordinator.
That is true, yeah.
I think that's a huge get. The schedule's tough.
They say Muschamp's added very much a spark in the locker room. And he's got that. I mean, there's the viral clip of him and Saban at LSU going crazy.
Yeah.
Like they said, that's kind of what they said is like he's brought that energy into the locker room that's been pretty stagnant with the previous DC. So, yeah, no, I think that's a good move. It's now or never for Texas. It's got to be. And there's been we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or if that was just in person. But with these coaches, there's this did we talk about this? There's this reputation with coaches. Ryan Day was one of them that they just can't. We mentioned that?
Yeah, with Dan Lanning when we broke down the Big Ten.
Right. Sarkisian's one of those too. So what I'm referring to is these coaches get this reputation, and it's deserved. Sarkisian has come up short time and time again. He's known for these game plans and his ability to scheme up the offense. Every time they play a top defense, the offense largely looks like shit, if we're being honest. He had Ewers, who he hitched his wagon to, and then Arch, and so on and so forth. But the point is, it's like they get this reputation that they can't win the big one until they fucking win the big one. Ryan Day had that reputation, and then he won. So Sarkisian has that reputation. That doesn't mean that Texas can't go win it all this year. Will they? That remains to be seen. But I don't put that much stock in, he can't win the big one. He just hasn't done it yet. And this could be the year that they do it. But it feels like it's a now or never type of thing, you know?
Yeah, and like this is, somewhat of a litmus test for Arch. Like this, if he looks like he comes out to start the season and struggles with the talent that they put around him, there's kind of no more excuses for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're starting to kind of read between the lines here, and there's like, if he does come out and not light it up, it's like there's rumblings like he may come back for a senior year. Like he may come back again and not go to the draft. Like Archie Manning has said. Like they're big on like they want a certain number of snaps under his belt before he goes to the pros to maximize his potential success. Do you have any action on Texas?
No, I mean I really like the roster. I do. I think the schedule is just so tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
They draw 5 of the top 8 SEC teams in terms of odds to win the conference, and then you add Ohio State to that. It's
tough. It's
that's
brutal.
6 really tough games,
Yeah, the benefit is you get Ohio State on the home field, but I mean, we'll see. Next up, I've got Texas A&M. Are you good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Head coach Mike Elko returns. The Aggies went 11-1 last year. Going into this season, it looks like the over-under win totals roughly 8.5, slightly shaded to the over. I've got 8.5 wins, -125 to the over, -105 to the under. Is that what you see?
I got 8.5 even money to the over,
Okay.
-120 to the under.
Okay. I've got plus 850 to win the SEC. Mike Elko has proven himself a home run hire coming over from Duke, in my opinion. He's one of the top coaches in the sport. A 10-0 start. It was a 10-0 start to the 2025 season. Ultimately resulted in A&M losing the last 2, including a 3-10 loss to Miami in the college football playoff. Somehow, after an incredibly successful season, I feel like I'm left with more questions than answers when it comes to Marcel Reed. Is he good enough to win it all? I don't know. I don't know. 2 late interceptions versus Texas, a game-ending interception versus Miami. It leaves a lot of room for doubt. Now in 2026, offensive coordinator Colin Klein left. He went to go take over the job at Kansas State. Former wide receivers coach Holman Wiggins is going to be the offensive coordinator, so they kept it in-house with the hire. He was previously with Alabama before A&M, and they've had a good run of wide receivers. Devontae Smith won a Heisman Trophy, for reference. They're going to be without wide receiver Casey Concepcion, who was just under Holman Wiggins' tutelage. He went first round. They do return Mario Craver. They went out and got Isaiah Horton from Alabama, had a bunch of touchdowns. And then Terry Busey returns, I believe. Only one starter returns on the offensive line. 4 went to the NFL, so you lose a ton of production, NFL talent on that offensive line. Mike Elko has done a good job of putting a good offensive line around his quarterback, but you lose Trey Zune, Chase Besantis, Reed Adams. Those 3 of the 4 were all SEC. Reuben Owens returns at running back, and then the defensive line's going to take a hit. They lose All-American Cassius Howell, plus Albert Regis. York and Scooby Williams, the linebackers, are also gone. And then Tyler Onyedim is also gone. So the way I look at it is I have a very high respect for Mike Elko, but no action due to the number of players that they have to make up for, plus 2 coordinator changes and Marcel Reed. I don't know what to make of Marcel Reed. Where do you stand with Reed and the Aggies as a whole going into the season?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Reed. He's just an inconsistent player. So, some weeks he looks like a great player, and then other weeks he throws a few interceptions. It's like, one thing you can't deny is his ability, what he can do with his legs, right? He's a legit rushing threat. I think questions come with his decision-making. I think he has the arm talent. Certainly weapons with Mario Carver and Isaiah Horton, along with this guy, Ashton Bethel Roman, returning as well. Reuben Owens the second. Who was their running back from that got hurt late? What was his name? Le'Veon Moss?
Yeah. He was talented.
Yeah, Owens is good too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you mentioned, the questions are at both of the line of scrimmages. Replacing 4 starters on the offensive line, they go to the transfer portal to replace all those 4 starters, and then defensively, when you lose, key pieces to your pass rush, that was one of the things that made A&M a ferocious opponent, was the way they could get after the passer. I mean, we saw it firsthand when LSU played them. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the difference. Like, we couldn't rush the passer, and they could.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like you. I like Mike Elko a lot. I thought last year he did a phenomenal job. They kind of benefited from a weak schedule last year. This year it's a little bit tougher. So, yeah, I don't have any action on him.
Okay. Next up, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Head coach Kalen DeBoer returns. Last year they went 10-2. Going into 2026, it looks like the win total is 8.5, roughly minus 125 to the over, even money to the under, plus 850 to win the SEC. This is clearly not the Alabama team that you're accustomed to. Kalen DeBoer has proven his teams can beat anyone, but they can also lose to anyone. That's why we saw Alabama upset week 1 by FSU, or the year before that, they were given a scare by South Florida. The lack of consistency is clearly a problem, but nonetheless, Bama rallied. They won 10 games plus an SEC championship. They got a college football playoff berth, and then they lost 28-7 to Georgia in that SEC championship and followed that up with a 38-3 drubbing from Indiana, a game in which they clearly did not belong. I have serious concerns with this Bama team. Ty Simpson's gone, so you replace the quarterback along with 4 starters on the offensive line. Alabama was number 125 in rushing offense last year. So that's a problem. You lose 4 offensive linemen starters. Maybe it's addition by subtraction because they were so poor at running the ball. But it's still not a good recipe. Austin Mack and Keelan Russell are battling for QB1. Wide receivers Jeremy Bernard got drafted to the NFL. And then touchdown leader Isaiah Horton, who I just mentioned, transferred out to Texas A&M. Ryan Williams is back at wide receiver. Obviously, he burst on the scene. It was, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, they're number 1 and number 2. It's like, clearly not. Ryan Williams is, while he's good and talented, he's not a top of the food chain guy. You could dispute that if you disagree. Defensively, the secondary is loaded, but the trenches are unproven. I'd imagine they probably go with Keelan Russell, but I don't know. There's so many questions. It seems the portal has hurt Alabama more than it has helped, which is uncommon or not what you would expect. But this Alabama program is not what it was under Saban, which is clear as day. You look at the schedule. They started off with Eastern Carolina. Then they go to Kentucky, Florida State, South Carolina, both at home. Go on the road to Mississippi State. Then you got Georgia at home, at Tennessee, A&M at home, at LSU, at Vanderbilt. And then you close out the season at home against Chattanooga and Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Where are you at with Bama? Because you were higher on Bama. I remember we had disagreements on the Oklahoma matchup. And then, so what? They got revenge on Oklahoma, didn't they? Or am I thinking 2 years ago?
No. They got revenge on Oklahoma in the playoff.
Right.
And then Georgia got revenge on Alabama in the conference championship game.
Right.
But, yeah, it was kind of, so last year, week 4 at Georgia was kind of where we saw Ty Simpson play his best. And it was like after that game, it was like Alabama kind of, launched themselves back into the conversation for being one of the better teams because of the week 1 head-scratching loss to Florida State. It was like, well, what the hell's going on with Alabama?
Yep.
But, really in the conference championship game, and then, they had to make a comeback against Oklahoma in the playoff. I think they were down by 17 to nothing or something like that. Some turnover luck there got them going. And then the just domination by Indiana, 38-3. This was like kind of a wake-up call.
They bullied them in the trenches.
Because, Alabama under Nick Saban, it's like forever Alabama was the best team up front, offensively and defensively. And it's like now they're nowhere near that team. They have issues on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They have a quarterback competition. You would expect Keelan Russell to win this. If he doesn't, I don't know what that says about the future of this coaching staff. Keelan Russell was the number 2 overall recruit in 2025 behind Bryce Underwood. He's an elite athlete, big arm. So I kind of think they'll need him to play, and they'll also need him to be an immediate superstar to remain relevant in the SEC.
Is Kalen DeBoer's seat hot?
Yes.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, because it's like, look, last year they crack into the playoff, but then,
you get embarrassed. The final taste in your mouth is disgusting.
To get beat bad like that, it's not acceptable for Alabama football.
The standard is not what it was. So that's what people are going to have to wake up to. Alabama, the days of Bama being what they were are long gone. And it feels good. I'm happy that we're in these days now. But that doesn't mean they can't still be competitive.
Yeah. To me, just breaking down this team, it's like this team's in a worse spot roster-wise than they were last year.
That's what I'm saying.
And they're the third favorite.
That's what I closed it out with. The transfer portal hurt them more than it helped them, which is not what you would expect. You would think that they would be able to go and kind of handpick who they want, and people were fucking bolting out the door. So that's a problem. The trenches are unproven. The trenches, they got to answer questions in the trenches. And Kalen DeBoer is not, that's not his forte,
Yeah, and it's like they can't afford to slip up early this year like they did last year against Florida State.
Hell
because
no.
Once you get to October 10th, you got Georgia. This is a tough 4-game stretch. Georgia at Tennessee. Then you got Texas A&M, the bye, and then at LSU.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like there's no real room for error here.
I agree. No action on them for you?
No.
Okay, me neither. Next up, home team, LSU. I don't really need to brush you up on all the offseason news. Everybody knows what happened. Brian Kelly got canned. Lane Kiffin came in before the season was over, and it was a whole big thing. 8.5 is what the win total's sitting at. At least that's what I saw most recently. Pretty even, -110 either which way. 9-1 to win the SEC. Last year was a 7-5 season, and really, I'll just go through everything I wrote down, whatever. Outside of the Jaden Daniels Heisman, the Brian Kelly era at LSU was a fucking disaster. And funnily enough, the Daniels saga is also now a disaster, as we just touched on earlier. The governor got involved. The athletic director got fired. Brian Kelly got fired. In comes Lane Kiffin. He brings with him a playoff caliber roster overnight. You look at all the, not even just the roster. You got Charlie Weiss Jr. coming in, and then he retained Blake Baker, which was a good move, in my opinion. Lane Kiffin dominated the portal, as he historically has. Number one portal class with 17 either 4 or 5-star players. Obviously, most notably, Sam Levitt comes over, and that was a whole thing in itself where he's sitting courtside with Sam Levitt at a basketball game, and the report comes out that we're going to go get Damon Williams Jr. from Washington, who would have become the 4th Heisman Trophy winner for LSU because Damon Williams is a fucking incredible player. And then that whole saga ensued, and Washington was going to sue the shit out of Damon Williams, so he's like, I'll stay and play. We had to go back and talk to Levitt and say, just kidding, we do want you. Kiffin hopped on a plane and went and met him at the airport in Tennessee, and that was a whole thing. He tried to intercept him before he met with the Volunteers, if I remember correctly. Long story short, he got his guy. Sam Levitt is the starting quarterback for the Tigers. You go look at some of the moves, and it's a lot of them, as expected. The most notable on the defensive side of the ball is that he brought over T.J. Daugherty, who – did he lead the SEC in tackles last year? If not, he was second. T.J. Daugherty comes over at linebacker. Prince Will Malin comes in, rushing the passer off the edge. Ty Benefield, put a star by that name. He's going to fill the shoes of A.J. Halsey seamlessly, in my opinion. I'm very high on Ty Benefield out of Boise State. You've got Malik Blockton. You got Jordan Ross on the D-line. True freshman Deuce Geralds has been making waves. We went out and got Jace Brown from Kansas State, their best wide receiver over the last few years. Also Jackson Harris. You got Winston Watkins Jr., stud left tackle Jordan Seaton from Colorado. And then you look at the backups. Everybody's a transfer, basically, in terms of backups on offense. So he went out and got a ton of players. Overnight, you have a roster that is a playoff caliber roster. You look at the schedule. We start the season again with Clemson, this time at home. LA Tech at Ole Miss. Put a star by that one. That one's going to be big. Week 3, on the road. I don't even know what they're going to do to Kiffin. Then you go play A&M, McNeese, both at home. At Kentucky, Mississippi State at home. At Auburn, Alabama and Texas back-to-back, both at home. At Tennessee, at Arkansas. So you're looking at the schedule, and we kind of disagreed on this, I guess. We were talking about this the other day. I think the schedule is pretty favorable. You leaned a little more towards you thought it was difficult, but I think any schedule in the SEC is difficult. Just kind of looking at it as a whole, you're getting a Clemson team that is not – it's not the Clemson that it used to be. You get Ole Miss, that Kiffin knows, and you lose – you take the coordinators and all of that, and there's question marks with that Ole Miss team. A&M, you get them at home. McNeese, Kentucky, Mississippi State. You do have to go to Auburn, but it's a new regime over there. Alabama and Texas, you get them both at home. And then at Tennessee, and then Arkansas, bottom feeder of the conference. I think it's a favorable schedule. I think it's a reasonable long story short, I have no action on LSU. I'm not going to hit you with we're winning the national championship or Levitt's winning the Heisman Trophy. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You're not getting me. You're not getting me again. I got to see it to believe it. I have high hopes. I think that the ceiling is very high. And I think that the floor could be 7 wins. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'll go schedule first. I think, if we're looking at the win total sitting at 8.5, you got, if we're even being somewhat conservative, you just have 4 games, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Texas. Those could go either way at this point.
I'm going to throw 2 more tough ones at you, too. At Auburn, at Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think those are tough.
Yeah, they are. But, I don't know. You don't expect to, let's say we were going into this 4-game season. You wouldn't expect to lose all of them.
No.
But, Yeah, so the schedule's, I don't know, I guess right around average. Some people might argue it's tough. Some people might argue it's a little bit easier. I think the SEC top to bottom is just, there's a lot of good teams. I think Auburn could be a surprise. I think Tennessee. Heupel's just done a good job with whoever he puts at quarterback. So
I agree. But it's like the 4 teams you mentioned, the 3 of them are at home.
Yeah.
So that's important.
The Alabama at Texas back-to-back's going to be
That's tough.
tough. Like
You got to get Bama. You got to get Bama in that one.
I mean, look, the talent on this roster is the most talented it's been since LSU won the national championship. I think overall, top to bottom, offensive and defensively.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I think Leavitt's got superstar potential.
mm-hmm.
He was rated the number 1 quarterback, although it seemed like Sorsby was the number 1 sought-after quarterback.
Yeah.
That didn't play out well for Tech, but
Injury concerns with Leavitt, but yeah, no, I mean, we've seen what he's capable of doing. He's a fucking good player.
yeah, and the offensive line here is where I think you're going to see a big difference from LSU in regards to the past 2 seasons where it's been a absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noted, not to cut you off, but I kind of just glossed over Trey'Dez Green too, and we've talked about Trey'Dez Green a lot over the last couple years. He's wearing the 7, if I remember correctly, right? They've had him in a non-contact jersey all camp, like all offseason. So they're like, don't fucking touch him. This guy, everybody is raving about him. He's like, obviously we know he's an athletic freak, but it's like he adds a whole different dimension. Like, I'm so intrigued to see what Lane Kiffin does with Trey'Dez Green versus what we had to sit through last year with that whole debacle on offense, you know?
Yeah, you got all these transfer wide receivers who are big play threats, but then your best player on offense is going to be Trey'Dez Green.
Yeah.
He's going to be utilized, like, it's going to be...
You can't guard him.
He's going to have an enormous season in this offense.
We saw it so many times. You get down by the goal line, you just throw it up to him, and he goes and gets it.
Yeah, I think...
and then Dylan Jones came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, Dylan Jones, a transfer from Wisconsin. He might have got banged up last year. I don't totally remember, but this guy in fall camp kind of took in spring, he kind of took the lead.
Yeah, I think
the
he's
lead back
expected
role.
to start now.
Now, from what I'm hearing, is Harlan Berry's looking really good recently this week.
So Caden Durham's just kind of
I
faded
think
to the void.
I think it's going to be mostly Dylan Jones and Harlan Berry here.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, there's just so much talent.
Yeah. No, Jace Brown's a fucking
Too many
really
guys.
good player.
Yeah, they're saying like it's Winston Watkins and Jackson Harris from Hawaii that are kind of lead. They say it's a new guy every practice.
Yeah.
Like they don't really know who the go-to guy is going to be here. So LSU likely, with the type of tempo they want to play with, they're going to be able to rotate a lot of receivers.
Yeah.
And that's only going to help them. Like I have it here: Jackson Harris, Jace Brown, and Trey Brown from Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Harris, 19.7 yards per reception. Jace Brown, 17.4 yards per reception. Trey Brown, 20.1 yards per reception. It's like the big play threat for LSU last year was non-existent. They certainly addressed that in the transfer portal. All of these guys that I just mentioned have the ability to make explosive plays in the passing game. And then defensively, it's like, I don't know. I don't know where we're weak.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it. I think depth is your issue, but if you look at the starters, yeah, I don't know where we're weak either, because Whit Weeks was arguably the best linebacker in the SEC. Also in that argument was TJ Daugherty. So we got him too. You got the best linebacker combo if Whit Weeks can stay healthy. You've got studs rushing the passer. You got studs in the secondary. I think the safety position's in great shape. TaMarcus Cooley returns, but Ty Benefield, I'm telling you, Ty Benefield is a fucking stud. Ty Benefield's going to be a very good player for LSU.
Yeah, I think looking at just the total secondary is like, I love this secondary.
Yeah.
It was a strength last year. Obviously, we lost Halsey. We lost Mansour Delane. But then getting Benefield's huge.
Yeah.
This guy had 107 tackles last season for Boise State, 8.5 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions. The other safety, TaMarcus Cooley, 70 tackles, 2 interceptions. Deshaun Spears, who's a safety/cornerback type player, he had 3 tackles for a loss, 2 interceptions, 1 pick six.
Yep.
You just look at those 3 players who Deshaun Spears is going to be the star. It's all those guys get downhill and make tackles.
Yeah.
Then the 2 outside guys, I like P.J. Woodland a lot. I think he has the ability to be a lockdown corner. Last year he had 2 interceptions and 9 passes defended. DJ Pickett as a true freshman, 3 interceptions.
Yeah. No, I think P.J. Woodland deserves a lot of credit because no one fucking threw to Mansour Delane's side. He shut down half the field. So P.J. Woodland was getting work all night. He had to stay locked. He never was able to really take a play off because no one dared throw to Delane's side. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for how he played last year. And I do think he's super talented, but you need DJ Pickett to step up and assert himself as the clear-cut number 1 corner on the team. He's not going to necessarily fill the shoes of Mansour Delane. If he does, great. Might win the national championship. But if he can just kind of motion towards that direction and just show that he's got what it takes, then that's going to propel this defense to the next level, in my opinion. I do think depth is a bit of a concern, but that's really my only gripe. And it's really unproven guys, I guess, on the backups. That maybe somebody steps up, gets a shot, and then it's okay, depth's not a concern because that guy's fucking good too. So
it's you just think about 4 of the 5 guys we mentioned, so outside of Benefield, all these guys were on the team last year.
Yeah.
So just there hasn't been, for these guys that have stayed around, like Jakeem Jackson, who transferred from Florida last season, was a 4-star transfer in 2025. It's there just hasn't been that much opportunity for them.
Yeah.
But it's who's to say if all these guys in the 2 deep and the 3 deep are all former 4-star guys. So, not to mention we got Delane's brother.
Yeah.
From Ohio State. He was a near 5-star recruit in 2025, a top 100 player.
Yep.
So, overall, what I really like about this team is the secondary and then the defensive line. I think there is depth on the inside here with Malik Blockton from Auburn. Deuce Gerald's the true freshman who's really flashed in spring and fall. And then 2 more 5-star guys you signed in this recruiting class, Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson from Edna Carr. I don't know.
Truly, I think
it's maybe I'm being a homer, but I'm taking LSU over the wins here.
Oh, I knew it. You are being a homer. Yeah, I think this team is going to be competitive in almost every game. I think a realistic expectation for this team is I don't think fans should be upset if we finish 9-3 and don't make the playoff. No, I agree. You would really like to make the playoff. That would be a great way to cap off Kiffin's first season. But it's the SEC. How many teams is the SEC going to get? It's the toughest conference. I think my biggest worry is the offensive line until I see that they're not dog shit. Because all we heard about was Will Campbell and Emory Jones, and you've got NFL tackles, and you buy into it. And then we hear about Braylon Moore last year, and we hear about this guy and that guy and that guy, and then you go see it, and you're like, fuck, we stink. I think we're going to be better. Everybody will tell you Jordan Seaton's the best left tackle in college football. He's in the best shape of his life. but I got to see it to believe it. And it's one of those, I've been fooled so many times, I just can't do it again.
Yeah, I agree. If there was one weakness on this team right now, we would have to assume that it's still the offensive line.
Yeah, and it's like maybe it's not. It's just a question mark. Maybe it's not a weakness. It could be a strength. I don't fucking know. But until I see it, it's a question mark, and I'm not willing to do it.
I thought coaching was a big part of why LSU was unsuccessful at the offensive line, and really as a whole team.
Yeah,
or an offensive unit, because I don't know, dude. Last year was like a lot of blame got put on Nussmeier, but in my opinion, just looking at the games and the film, it wasn't all his fault. The whole team as a unit didn't play very well at all.
He was clearly hurt. It wasn't all his fault. He deserves some blame. He didn't play. He made some mistakes, injuries aside, that he shouldn't have made. But the offensive line didn't do him any favors at all.
Yeah, and even like the receiver room was talented, but in my opinion, they were just poorly coached, because there was a lot of times where there was receivers in the same area.
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah. No, there's one thing. You may love him. You may hate him. You cannot deny that Lane Kiffin can coach up the offense, and he's going to spread you out, and he's going to fucking make you pick somebody to stop, and he's going to beat you with the other guy. And they're going to run the football down your fucking throat, and then they're going to hit you over the top. And I'm ready to see it. I'm ready for it. This is going to be one of the more exciting college football seasons in a long time. That game at Ole Miss, somebody asked if we wanted to go to that game. I said no, because fuck that. They're going to try to kill us. But I'm excited for it, and I'm ready to go. So you're going over on the wins.
Yeah, over 8.5, minus 110.
All righty. I'm not touching it, but I'm a root for it, obviously. Next up, the team we took Lane Kiffin from, Ole Miss. Pete Golding's taken over as the head man. They went 11-1 last year. The win total sits at 7.5, heavily shaded to the over last I saw. 12-1 to win the conference. 2025 was uncharted territory for Ole Miss for a number of obvious reasons. A dream season where they were on the doorstep of the national championship. And it coincided with a season where their head coach left at the climax. And in the middle of the night, ran on his jet and came over to the mecca of college football. So go fuck yourselves, Ole Miss. Sucks to suck. Pete Golding goes from defensive coordinator to the head coach. He managed to hold on to Trinidad Chambliss, who had to battle for eligibility, but got granted it, and he's back. So is star running back Kewan Lacey. Lane Kiffin did take a few important pieces that we just touched on. Obviously, Charlie Weiss is a big one, offensive coordinator, but also all SEC players, TJ Daugherty and Prince Will Uman-Malin. But overall, I'd say the damage wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. Pete Golding actually did a stellar job in the portal with the number 2 overall transfer class. And you held on to the quarterback who everybody was kind of holding their breath, like, is he going to go with Kiffin to LSU? And you held on to arguably the best running back in the country in Kewan Lacey. I think Ole Miss is going to be a good team, but I have a tough time believing that they don't take at least a decent step back here. The brains of the offensive operation left between Kiffin and Weiss Jr. Can Trinidad Chambliss have success operating in an offense without them calling the plays, and they know him better than anybody else does at the collegiate level, at least Division I? John David Baker's going to take over as offensive coordinator. He is from the Kiffin and Charlie Weiss coaching tree. Most recently in 2023, he was with them. He then took the job at ECU, calling plays over there, and he sprung that offense up to the top of the rankings. So he obviously knows what they like to do, but he doesn't know Trinidad Chambliss like these other guys do. So it's a different environment. So I have my questions. You open the season with a tough game on a neutral against Louisville. Then you have Charlotte, LSU at home, at Florida, at Vandy, at home against Mizzou, at Texas, and then you have a tough stretch of Auburn, Georgia, both at home, and then at Oklahoma. You close out the season with Wofford and Mississippi State. What are your expectations for the Rebels? Are you higher or lower? Do you agree that they take a step back, or do you think we kind of see more of the same? It's a bunch of questions jumbled into one, but also, is Trinidad Chambliss the best quarterback in college football, as a lot of people are trying to say?
No.
I don't think so either.
I think I don't know. I think it can go either way for Ole Miss here. I was impressed with how they were able to perform well in the transfer portal. I was surprised that they were able to retain Chambliss, although that was kind of a tricky situation where he was either going to play for Ole Miss or nobody because his eligibility didn't get ruled on until after the transfer portal already opened and stuff like that, so teams weren't going to wait around on a player that might not be eligible. Mm-hmm. And that was a strange thing. One judge said no, then another judge said yes. I don't understand. Like this guy shouldn't be playing, in my opinion. But I'd like to see him play again. But I do think we're in a strange spot with how players get ruled eligible now. Frickin' Lacey's incredible.
Yeah.
24 touchdowns last season, over 1,500 rushing yards. The offensive line, right? They have to replace both of the tackles. So, I mean, I guess that's a bit of a concern. They did go out and steal one of LSU's guys, Carius Kern, a former 5-star interior offensive lineman recruit, who I think has some experience playing tackle. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe they try him there. They have weapons at wide receiver. I just don't know. I think top to bottom, I don't know if Ole Miss defensively is going to be. I mean, you lose two guys like Daughtery, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the other guy's name.
Uman Malin.
Uman Malin
is what I'm going with.
I don't know. I think it can go either way here. I think they could either win a lot of close games or they could lose a handful of close games. And if they win, they're looking at maybe getting into the playoff. And if they lose, they're not in contention.
Yeah, I think with a quarterback like Chambliss, he's going to keep you. You're going to be competitive in just about every single game. So it's unlikely that they're going to get blown out of the water. But yeah, when it becomes crunch time and you got to go win the game, and you had top of the food chain level play callers between Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin in your back pocket there, kind of helping you out. There's just question marks there. How is he going to respond without those guys? And then with defensively, you lose the production, all SEC production. It's hard to make up. It just is. So, all right, next up, Oklahoma. Brent Venables returns as head coach. Last year was a 10-2 season. The over-under win total sits at 7.5, minus 160 to the over, plus 130-ish, plus 125-ish to the under. 14-1 to win the conference. Brent Venables' seat was hot leading into last season in 2025. He responded with a 10-win season and one of the top defenses in the nation. John Mateer came over from Wazoo with first-year offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle. They weren't able to have the success from previous years, but Mateer obviously got banged up. I think at one point there was a lower body injury, but then the hand injury, I think he had midseason surgery. The expectation is that John Mateer is healthy, and he's made waves throughout this offseason. If you follow any of the clips from the Manning Passing Academy, he's built like a brick shithouse. He's in incredible shape. People are questioning if his arms are too big to throw the football. But he has a new throwing motion that everybody's raving about. And I have some skepticism. Like, they're kind of anointing him as all of a sudden this much better quarterback because his throwing motion is different and I guess more textbook. And so that's good, but you kind of got to see it to believe it. But he's definitely jacked. There's no disputing that. Oklahoma returned 7 offensive starters. At terms of wide receiver, most notably Isaiah Satania. He's got literally track level speed. They also went and got transfer Parker Livingstone from Texas, Trell Harris from Virginia. The wide receiver room's looking solid. Running backs were not good enough, but the leading rusher was a true freshman. They kicked the tires on Jade Knott from Cal. It just didn't work out, and I was kind of surprised that it didn't. Defensively, Oklahoma was spectacular last year. It's where Brent Venables hangs his hat, and they responded with possibly the number one overall defense in terms of rankings. But they do lose our Mason Thomas and Grayson Halton to the draft, but they returned 7 other starters, 4 of which were all SEC. This defense is going to be spectacular yet again, possibly the best in America. You get a healthy Mateer plus year 2 of Arbuckle at OC, implementing his system. It feels like everyone loves Oklahoma, so that does worry me, but I am going to go over 7.5 wins, minus 160. You look at the schedule, you got UTEP on the road against Michigan, New Mexico, at Georgia, Texas on the neutral in the Red River Shootout, Kentucky at home, at Mississippi State, South Carolina, at Florida, Ole Miss A&M at home, and then at Mizzou. So, like I said, I take it with a grain of salt when all the videos come out about Mateer and his throwing motion and this and that, and I don't love – I had made my mind up on this before all the love for Mateer came out, I guess. It's really this last week everybody's raving about Oklahoma, so that worries me. But I do think that this defense is going to be fantastic, and I just assume it appeared Mateer was hurt. You would agree? Obviously, he had the surgery, and his numbers dipped after that, and he was struggling. Started out good, and then clearly just started to struggle there. But I just think with the improvements at the wide receiver position, I had very high hopes for Mateer when he came from Wazoo, and he was running all over everybody, but then you go to the SEC and everybody's just a little bit bigger and a little bit faster, and it doesn't work that way anymore. I still feel like his legs were not used to the extent that they could have, been, but I think year 2 with Ben Arbuckle to kind of implement his offense here. I have high expectations for this Oklahoma team. I think the defense is going to be the real deal, so we'll go over 7.5 wins, minus 160. What are your thoughts on the Sooners?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I don't know, just a little bit surprising they were 10-2 last year.
Yeah.
Because the offense, really struggled to get it going. And a lot of it had to do with the play of Mateer, but then a lot of it had to do with bad offensive line play. They couldn't run the ball whatsoever.
The defense was so good, though.
Yeah, and 7 starters returning from that defense is huge. That's the reason why people are so high on Oklahoma. It's like, I don't really think it can get much worse for the way Mateer played last year.
The 4 other guys expected to start to are all in-house. It's like, it's not transfers. So this is, Venables has his fingerprints all over this defense. He's back doing it again. And, yeah, I think you expect the offense to only go in one direction.
Yeah, Mateer can only get better. And like you said, these guys they got at receiver now with
Livingstone and Harris.
Yeah, and then the guy Satania the third.
Yeah, he's been there.
Yeah, but all these guys are going to be able to contribute. This is a better receiving room than they had last year. I think it can only get better offensively for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just think that they're going to be a very tough team to beat with that defense. So just got to get to 8 wins. I think we do it. I think we get to the window there. So next up, Tennessee. And Tennessee's an interesting one. Josh Heupel returns as head coach, 8-4 last year. The win total sits at 7.5. What do you see?
Yep.
Minus 115 either way.
The hell do I?
Roughly.
Something like that.
Yeah, 20-1 to win the SEC. I think Josh Heupel deserves a ton of credit. The Volunteers are consistently competitive with what feels like a revolving door at quarterback. We all know what happened going into last season with Nico Amaliava. Tennessee responded well. They did a flip-flop, a trade essentially with Joey Aguilar. He ended up throwing for 3,565 yards, which was, I think, 3rd best all-time in the history of Tennessee. They've had some good ones over there. Of Tennessee's 4 losses, you had a 3-point shootout, a 3-point loss and a shootout against Georgia in a game that they probably should have had. It took some late end-of-game magic from Gunnar Stockton there to pull that one out. So that probably should have been a win. You have the loss to Bama. You have a 1-possession loss to Oklahoma, among one other loss. So 8-4, this could have been a 10-win Tennessee team if the ball bounces their way or if they don't kind of give that game away there at the end against Georgia. This year, the Vols are going to have a new quarterback after Joey Aguilar lost an appeal for a bonus year of eligibility. At least that was last I saw. I don't know if he was thrown in the mix with the 2021 whatever judge's ruling. It's the wild, wild west in college football now. We don't know.
Couldn't find a judge?
I don't know, dude. I don't know who's allowed to play, who's not. No one knows. If you just show up with a helmet, they'll probably let you on the fucking field. It's either going to be George McIntyre or Brandon Faison at quarterback. 8 offensive starters do return. 4 starting offensive linemen. Your 1,000-yard rusher Deshaun Bishop is back at running back. Chris Brazzell leaves for the NFL, but SEC Freshman of the Year Braylon Staley returns, along with Mike Matthews, who was also there last year. That was their trio of wide receivers. They only lose Brazzell. They also get true freshman TK Keys, who was the number 1 wide receiver in the class. Last year's defense was bad. They went out and got Jim Knowles, who... So the thing with Jim Knowles, and you've heard us talk about him many of times throughout doing this podcast. If you know college football and you know Jim Knowles, you know that the sentiment around Jim Knowles is that his scheme is very complex. I think it's a 4-2-5 scheme. I could be wrong on that. It's a very complex scheme that typically takes 2 years till you can start seeing it take effect. That's the reputation he has around him. You can just see the numbers from his first year with the program. He had success, obviously. I think he was at Duke. Then he was with Gundy at Oklahoma State. Went to Ohio State, won a national championship. Then went to Penn State, and that was a big swing and miss, obviously. We all know how that played out. Now he finds himself at Tennessee. This defense for Tennessee was not very good. Whether it takes, a year or 2 years for his system to take place, Jim Knowles is a great hire for the Volunteers. Josh Heupel has proven he's going to be able to put points up on the board. The consistency that he has put forth time and time again with different guys at quarterback, I think, is commendable. So bringing over Jim Knowles, I think, is a very good hire. Tennessee returns 6 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Plus, Jim Knowles brings linebacker Amari Campbell and all SEC linebacker Arian Carter returns. The biggest thing with Tennessee here is quarterback questions. But if you trust Josh Heupel, I'm not going to have any action on the Volunteers, but I could see people backing them, and I could totally understand it because I just don't know enough about the quarterbacks to feel comfortable. But if you got some, if you for some reason, if you like Faison or McIntyre, I could understand why you're putting your money behind the Volunteers with the returning production and then going to get Jim Knowles and the players he brings with him. You look at the schedule, you got Furman to start the year at Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, Texas, Auburn, all at home. And then you got on the road against Arkansas, Alabama, at South Carolina, Kentucky, at A&M, LSU, at Vandy. What are your thoughts on Tennessee and which way are you leaning with them going into the season?
Yeah, I think you just look at what Heupel's been able to do. It's been impressive. The last 4 seasons, 2022 they were 10-2. In 2023 they were 8-4. Then they went 10-2, 8-4 last year. So they've exceeded 7.5 wins the past 4 seasons. I think there should be a little bit of concern for the quarterback position here, but just because these guys don't have experience, it's like at least Aguilar, even though he came from Appalachian State, he had experience playing the position at the FBS level. It's like these 2 guys, top recruits, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. No action on them for you?
No.
All right, we're running long. We'll try to pick up the pace a little bit here. It's the biggest conference in college football. But next up, you got Florida. We all know how last season went. Billy Napier got canned. John Summerall comes in. They were 4-8 last year. Win total sits at 7.5, shaded to the under, 25-1 to win the SEC. The Billy Napier experiment was a failure, so Florida's going to try it again with a non-power conference school head coach. John Summerall comes in from Tulane. 5-star quarterback DJ Lagway transferred to Baylor. John Summerall hired former Georgia Tech offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner. He brings over Aaron Philo with him as the backup, brings Aaron Philo over with him from Georgia Tech. He was the backup to Haynes King. Running back Jaden Ball returns, most likely going to be the focal point of the offense. Buster Faulkner and Georgia Tech, what did they do? They ran the ball under Brent Key and relied on that offensive line in the run game. So Jaden Ball, coming off of a solid season, you would have to have high expectations for him again. The wide receiver room returns 2 5-stars, though. SEC all-freshman Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson. But then they also went out and got Eric Singleton. So Eric Singleton was at Georgia Tech with Buster Faulkner. He transferred to Auburn, who had 2 of the best wide receivers in the country and couldn't do shit with them because they didn't have a quarterback. So Singleton is also at Florida now. The offensive line loses 3 starters, and in my opinion is obviously a question mark. Defense is where Summerall puts his stamp. He hired former Kentucky defensive coordinator Brad White. Caleb Banks and George Gums are gone to the NFL, so the defensive line takes a hit. The secondary also takes a hit, losing at least 3 starters. You return cornerback Cormani McClain. He has high expectations. They need him to be the number 1 guy. Linebacker's clearly the strength of the defense, but I think there's a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball. Summerall's going to have his work cut out for him. I don't have any action on Florida, but I don't really know what to make of them. I think the trenches, there's just too many question marks for me. The skill position players, though, on offense, you got to be pleased with. So it's Philo. How is he going to be as a starter? What are your thoughts on Florida?
Yeah, I think Florida's in good shape for the future with John Summerall at head coach, offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner. I think that's a huge hire. He brings his guy with him from Georgia Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Philo maybe do a little something here. I think he's got the weapons. Eric Singleton was, when he entered the transfer portal in 2025,
he was $1 million man.
I was praying that you could get him.
He got over $1 million.
Yeah, apparently this guy loves playing for teams without proven quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's just going where the money is.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think, it'd be surprising if Florida's able to contend in the SEC right away. I think they still have work to do with their roster, but I think they're well on their way to reasserting themselves as one of the SEC's best teams.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz returns as the head coach. Last season they went 8-4. Win total sits 6.5 -150 to the over, +120 if you like the under. 35-1 to win the conference. Another strong start to the season for Mizzou. Ended how they typically seem to end. Eli Drinkwitz is a good coach, consistently has his team competitive, but, and it's a big but, he's 0-16 against SEC teams with a winning record. So they're good on paper until they play a good team, I guess. Austin Simmons transfers from Ole Miss. He is expected to start at quarterback. The lefty came in place of Jackson Dart when he got banged up, and it was like, oh, shit, this dude's good. He lost his job to Trinidad Chambliss, so now he's trying to start anew over at Missouri. The biggest and best player for Missouri is clearly Ahmad Hardy. He's widely viewed as the best running back in the country. The question mark with Ahmad Hardy is that he got shot in the leg in May. And there was a lot of questions on if he would be capable of playing this season, and it appears he's going to be healthy and he's going to go. But he got shot in the fucking leg. So is there any ramifications from that? If not, when healthy, this guy's proven he's a top running back in the country. The problem is Mizzou only returns 4 starters on either side of the ball. The wide receiver room's going to look different, obviously, but the offensive line should be a strength. They return 3 guys in Ahmad Hardy. That's your 4 returning starters. Most notably, all SEC left tackle Caden Green, I think is what I wrote down. Defensively, not a single starter returns. I think it's clear the offensive philosophy is going to be run the football. Simmons, he could be good. We'll see. But not a single starter returns on defense. So I don't know how you feel comfortable doing anything with this team. It is shaded to the over last I saw for the win total. What are your thoughts on Missouri? Anything?
Yeah, I think Simmons can be good. I think he is. He's got to be good. I mean, look, his guy started over Chambliss. He didn't really lose his job because he was playing bad. He injured his ankle, and they started Chambliss, and Chambliss was a miracle worker. So he kind of just got benched that way, kind of.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe type of situation. But, yeah, I think Simmons certainly meets the standard here for Mizzou quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a good season. I think Missouri is just one of those teams where, they're just on the outside of the top tier teams. Like, I don't know what they would have to do to compete for the SEC title, but they would certainly have to, I guess, spend a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. But also, they got to win it. They got to beat a team that fucking wins games.
Yeah.
So the 0-6 team versus a team that finished with a winning record is astounding. All right, let's talk about Auburn as we try to bring this thing home. Auburn's one of those teams. You mentioned it earlier. They could be a team that surprises people or be scrappy, and I tend to agree. Alex Galesh comes in as head coach. The win total last I saw was 6.5, slightly shaded to the over. 40-1 to win the conference, though. And so, who was it? It was Hugh Freeze for the last few years. Hugh Freeze kept rolling out shitbag quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne, the kid from Oklahoma?
Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, we'll be seeing him in Vegas soon. He's now the quarterback at UNLV. So, and then there was somebody else too, like the same guy Hugh Freeze kept throwing out there.
Ashton Daniels might have been.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, maybe Ashton Daniels.
Was it Robbie Ashford?
Robbie Ashford might have been before Freeze, but
just mediocre quarterback after mediocre quarterback trying to throw the ball to all-world wide receivers. So Alex Galesh comes over. Much like most coaches do in the transfer portal era, he brings over basically USF to come play with an Auburn logo on the helmet. Most notably, quarterback Byron Brown. Galesh led a top-5 offense with USF last year, also transferring in his 5 wide receivers, 2 new offensive linemen, his tight end, and the running back. Wide receivers, Keyshawn Singleton was the leading guy last year. Jeremiah Kroger, Christian Neptune, and then Chaz Nimrod comes over as well. What a last name, Nimrod. All 5 starting linemen from last year are gone. Defensively, this is the big key for me with Auburn and why I think that they could be – they're not a team you want to have to go play in Jordan O'Hare or whatever stadium. Defensively – This side of the ball was not the problem for Auburn. The team has been a top 20 unit for year after year now under DJ Durkin. Well, Galesh was able to keep DJ Durkin. He's back as the defensive coordinator, which in turn allowed Auburn to return 5 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Linebacker Xavier Atkins is the star of the unit, All-American, 17 tackles for loss last year, which led the SEC. Both safeties are back. You do have to make up both of the outside corners who left. But I think that, the framework of this defense returns, and this has been a very good unit on the defensive side of the ball. It's been the offense that has been the problem for him. So I think it was a good move to bring DJ Durkin back. The biggest question is Byron Brown good enough? Because now you're not playing against the caliber of teams that South Florida was playing against. Now you're playing in the SEC. I don't know if he's good enough passing the ball. He's obviously a dynamic elite athlete. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, that's a question. Brown, is he going to be able to do it? I think we're going to be, probably pretty soon, we're going to be like, how the hell is he doing this in the SEC?
You think?
Yeah.
You think he's the next Cam Newton?
He's a freak.
Put your stamp on him.
This guy is insane. I don't know if Auburn will have the total team success for Heisman campaign, but I do think that the running ability is certainly going to translate. Yeah, the question, look, he can't be worse than the last guys at throwing.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, Peyton Thorne made Auburn basically an unbettable team.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
It was... I couldn't believe how Hugh Freeze had this team. They just neglected to go to the transfer portal and get like a decent guy.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we'll wait till next year. Well, next year never came. Jackass, you fucking fired.
He was begging for another chance, too. He's like, I really hope I'm here. They're like, you're not.
But yeah, I think Brown, I mean, I don't know about, I'm sure he'll have some hiccups passing, but I think he can make up for it with his legs. And like you said, with this defense, this is certainly a team that's kind of a sleeper.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like I said, this was a top 5 offense, but it's the same offense really, but just with question marks on the O-line. But I don't know. I think the offense is clearly going to be better. I think the defense is going to be comparable. You lose some production. The corners being gone, that's tough. You bring back a lot of production, though, on defense, including your best player. So I think Auburn will be better. I have questions, though, if Byron Brown is good enough, because there were just times where he wasn't against lesser competition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they sitting at 6.5. That might be tough to get over.
You think?
I think six
will put you in a bowl game. If you go bowl game first year.
I think 6 is realistic. I think in the future, if Auburn can show some success here, I think they have the ability to recruit. This was a team that
the schedule's tough.
Yeah, this was a team that was for years. It was LSU, it was Auburn, it was Alabama, it was Florida. Florida and Auburn have kind of, and even LSU have kind of fell off. Even though LSU puts together a good season every couple years, but yeah, I think eventually Auburn's going to get back into that conversation.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Galesh is a good coach, but we got to see. South Carolina, I don't have much on them. Shane Beamer returns as head coach. The win total sits at 6.5, shaded to the under, 50-1 to win the conference. Lenoris Sellers, that's my biggest question here, is I have no action on South Carolina. Lenoris Sellers, we've seen the highs and the lows. We've seen what he's capable of. Elite athlete, has to take a step in the right direction with his arm. But there's been rumblings like this could be the year that Lenoris Sellers finally breaks out onto the scene and achieves the potential that we all have been waiting for. So where do you stand with the Gamecocks? A lot of transfers here. The entire offensive line is going to be made up of transfers. Wide receiver, they went and got Nitro Tuggle from Georgia. Nick Harbor, you'll hear people rave about him. Track speed, elite, take the top off the defense speed for a guy that's a big guy. It's just not really panned out. He had 30 catches last year. 6 touchdowns, but 30 catches. So 20 yards per reception. So he's a deep ball guy, kind of boom or bust. They need a little bit more out of him. You need more than 30 catches. What are your thoughts on the Gamecocks going into the 2026 season?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, at one point we were really, the whole world was high on Sellers, and then last year came, it was a bit of a letdown. I don't know, the schedule. No schedule's easy in the SEC, so I don't know. What are they, 6.5? Plus 110 to go over. I don't know. You think they need a freaking I don't know how they. Beamer's a decent coach, I think. I just don't know. This is tough for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Last up, you got 4 teams: Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky. I got really nothing for you on any of them. Vandy's plus 10,000 to win the conference. Arkansas is plus 20,000. Mississippi State is that true? Is it 25,000 for Mississippi State, and then plus 350 to 1 for Kentucky, 250 to 1 for Mississippi State, 200 to 1 for Arkansas.
Yeah, I have Mississippi State at 300 to 1. Okay. Arkansas at 300 to 1.
Mississippi State, remember Kamario Taylor at quarterback, and he's another guy who was kind of a darling of the Manning Passing Academy, but we saw him in the bowl game. We saw him throughout the season. Kamario Taylor's got a shitload of potential. Will he achieve it? That remains to be seen. I'm interested, though. Who is it? Is it Lebby is the coach? Obviously not super high expectations on Mississippi State, but you got to be excited with a guy like Kamario Taylor at quarterback to at least see if he can start to scratch the surface of that potential and if he can get his fucking fingers to stop cramping up. mid-game. That was the craziest shit I've ever seen in the bowl game. But do you have anything? I got nothing really. Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky. I think Arkansas is probably going to be the worst team in the fucking conference. But
So, yeah, Vandy signed their first 5-star ever, I think.
yeah.
Jared Curtis, the quarterback, he's going to start right away and replace Pavia. I think that's kind of going to be somewhat interesting is just to see what Vanderbilt looks like now that Pavia's gone. And then who else? Arkansas. Arkansas's in a tough situation.
Yeah.
Who took over as head coach over there?
At Arkansas?
Yeah.
Ryan Silverfield. They're going to stink. Shitload of transfers. Probably the groundwork might be laid, but it ain't going to be this year. But that's really all I got.
Yeah, and then Kentucky, I don't know why they're even in the SEC anymore.
Mm-hmm. I heard a lot of people kind of talk about Kentucky could be scrappy. Who did I say? Who'd they get? They got somebody. They got. Let me pull it up just to be sure. They got somebody decent as the head coach.
Oh, Will Stein.
Right, Will Stein went to go be the head coach, and then Kenny Minchie came over from Notre Dame at quarterback. So.
Oh, Nick Anderson, former LSU wide receiver.
Yep. Yeah, so Kentucky's one of those teams, they'll probably upset somebody in the year. We saw them do it with dog shit players. They got Ole Miss.
Ole Miss 2 years ago, yeah.
Yep. So, team to keep an eye out on. To recap, I am going to take Oklahoma over 7.5 wins minus 160 as my best bet for the SEC conference.
I'm going LSU over 8.5 wins minus 110.
That is our best bets. That is our SEC conference breakdown. Episode 270 is in the books. Do you have anything to say before we go?
Nope.
Like I said, we made it. We made it to the end of the road. This is our last episode until the season starts. We're back in studio a week from today, basically. Maybe actually we might be in studio on Monday, but that's not important. All that matters is week 0 is on the horizon. Meaningful football's back. Games that were given out that are going on the record start next week. So y'all have a good one. Good luck.
The house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house. I've been practicing this. A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. No, it was good. I liked it.